topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Good afternoon, Houston. Welcome to another Ask the Experts, where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Our first show today is a company that has been with us for maybe 6, 7, 8 years now. And what's so special about them is they are in a field that I'm sorry to say, is hard to find someone who you can really trust. But I got to tell you, I have never, in all my years of dealing with this company, all we've had is positive response. We're talking about tax resolution today. And when it comes to tax resolution, there's no better company than Taxation Solutions. And though we're modulating for Houston today, if you got a friend in New York, Chicago, Florida, it doesn't matter where they are. Barry can help them because we're talking about federal taxes here. So we have Barry Fowler. He is the president and founder of Taxation Solutions. He's what's called an enrolled agent, and we will let you know what an enrolled agent is. He's licensed to represent taxpayers before the dreaded Internal Revenue Service. His experience in the tax and financial industry spans over 30 years. Now, if you're watching on TV and you watch him, he doesn't look like he could be in the business that long. But Barry's expertise includes tax resolution, tax planning, tax return preparation. He's been instrumental in helping thousands of people resolve complex tax issues with the IRS. Let me introduce you to the president of Taxation Solutions, Mr. Barry Fowler.
Hey, Steve, how are you today, man? What an introduction! You make.
Hey, bro, I could go for an hour introducing you. Well, I got to tell you, I said something that in your industry, and Barry, you know this. If you, there's a lot of companies that have been shut down or went out of business. You really, really care about your clients. And I got to tell you that I learned a long time ago with your company, Barry, and we talk about this a lot because I've sent somebody to you. If you can help them, you're going to help them. But if you can't, you're going to tell them and not string them along. And that's one of the things that so great about your company, Barry.
Well, Steve, not only that, but even if we can't help them, or maybe they're in a situation where the fees that we got to charge just aren't worth it, and and they'd be better off doing something else, we're going to explain that to them and tell them. And we're not here just to take your money and do nothing. We got to make sure we're going to be able to perform. We're going to be able to do what we say we're going to do, and we're going to be able to help you. If we're not able to help you, if it's not going to change your situation, it's not going to make your life better, or maybe the situation is that simply you don't have enough debt to use our services. We can tell you how to do it without using our services, because it is that simple for them. But when it's complicated, and when you owe the IRS a ton of money, $10,000 or more, I know 5,000 seems a ton to some people, but it's got to be worth using a service. And then you got to be able to do the service that you promise that you're going to get them. So, we're going to tell you, hey, this is what you qualify for. I get people all the time that'll debate us. No, XYZ tax relief out of Chicago or somewhere else said they can get me an offer in compromise. Well, we explained to you, you can't qualify because A, you have too much in assets, you have this, you have that. These are the reasons you don't qualify, so there's a better program for you. Hey, if you want to live the dream, you go to them and you get the dream, and then that bubble bursts and you're stuck with what we told you right from the get-go, but you didn't want to listen, or you didn't believe that, hey, we couldn't get you that offer and compromise and settle, as they said, pennies on the dollar. You've got to be a realist. You can't always have the dream. You don't win the lottery also every time you play, right? Or hardly ever. So, sometimes we've got to make it make sense to you and show you what is out there for you, what you qualify for, and not just give you the pipe dream and hope for the best. We want to be realistic with you. We want to be able to tell you, hey, where are we going to go? What route we're going to go? Yeah, things do change, and maybe your situation changes. We change our route based on your situation. Or maybe we can change your situation and qualify for something else. We go through all of that with you once you become a client.
Barry, I always am now, every time I hear about 80,000 new agents, the first thing I think about is Barry Fowler, because we've been doing the show long enough to know that there have been many a times that these agents knew a lot less than you did, and you had to instruct them because they didn't know all the laws and statutes. And it's like, I think about these 80,000 new agents that are coming along that you're going to have to train.
And that's what I look at. It's 80,000 new trainees. Maybe I can get my way a little bit better because I can train them the right way. But, it's going to be a slow process for them hiring these 80,000. What happens more than anything nowadays is everything's done by computer, and, new AI coming out, and, you get selected for an audit. Your tax returns are checked and cross-checked by computers, and then they send you these letters out. All these fun things, and then you get on the phone with the brand new agents, have no clue what they're doing or no clue of what's going on and why you got the letter. That makes our life more of a living nightmare, but also sometimes is a good challenge to get these guys going in the right way. We've gotten over the last few weeks and months, we've gotten offers approved that a couple of them I never thought we would get approved, but was able to convince them that, hey, I was right, they were wrong, and we got it done. So you can take advantage of some of these situations, and then other situations, they think that you can't get all the deductions we're showing and get these nice low payment plans that we've put in place for some of these people, or put them into a non-collectible status where they don't pay anything. So we get into some debates, and I end up in the manager's phone conference and be able to settle it that way, and we get it done. Sometimes it just takes a little longer because you're dealing with newbies.
I think, Barry, also that it's a very big burden when you have the IRS coming after you. And it means a lot of sleepless nights, especially if you have a business, which we're going to be talking about today. When you come to Barry and you retain his services, you no longer have to talk to the IRS anymore. And it all falls on Barry's shoulder, but he knows what to say to them, which is, you don't know that. And it takes a lot of the burden off your shoulders because Barry knows this business.
And I got big shoulders, so, you
Yeah.
can take care of it, that's what we're here for. We're here to take the stress out of your life of dealing with the IRS and, the sleepless nights. Yeah, you're still going to maybe worry about the debt that you have out there, but you got to also understand that, once we get that power of attorney and you become a client with us, we step into your shoes and we represent you. They don't call you anymore. They don't, they're still going to send their letters and everything. But when you're in business, now you're dealing with revenue officers. Kind of the gloves are off. They can come out and do a business visit easily. Those audits and things that they do become very invasive into your life. And that's what we're here to do, is to control that, is to cut that down, cut that out, keep those revenue officers at bay so we can get done with you what we need to do to protect you, protect your family, protect your business, because they're not just coming after the business. They're coming after everything. And, depending on the reasons you owe and things in business, it can be devastating to your life. And, not just you, but you're talking about your spouse, your kids, the whole family, you name it, gets impacted when a business gets impacted.
Barry, what seems to be the most likely reason businesses do owe taxes?
Well, 90% of the problem for most businesses, and we're dealing with, small, medium-sized businesses, even some relatively large businesses, is payroll taxes. You find it very easy in this recession. You're hurting for money. Your costs of goods have gone up. You're trying to keep your materials coming in. You're trying to keep your people working, and the easiest thing not to pay is those payroll taxes. I mean, we just got a client just the other day that probably owes about $300,000 in payroll taxes.
Wow.
They stopped paying their payroll taxes because they just couldn't afford it. They could pay their employees, the $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 they were paying in payroll, but they just couldn't afford to pay the payroll taxes to go with it. And so, they had to pay the employees to keep them working, to keep in business, and they just kept going down the road. It's an easy snowball effect in payroll taxes because you file quarterly, but a lot of times those don't get assigned to anybody to follow up on until months down the road. And then you've got the payroll issue, and then you've got that revenue officer breathing down your neck, and it just becomes a huge nightmare for you with penalties, interest, everything they're tacking onto it.
Well, with the payroll taxes, do they get reduced or settled for less than they owed when you're representing them?
Well, here's the thing. So payroll taxes have two parts to it. It's got the trust fund part. That is the money that you've pulled out of your employee's check with the promise that you would take and forward that money to the IRS. So that was never your money. That is your employees' money that you're paying to the IRS on their behalf. And then you've got your portion of the employer's portion of Social Security and Medicare. So you're going to deal with two portions of that. Generally, if you're in business and you're a going concern, the IRS is not going to settle on either one of those for you. Matter of fact, what the IRS is then going to do is issue penalties on you. What our job is to kind of control those penalties. Our job is to get you on a payment plan that you can actually afford that keeps you in business, but also get you current on current payroll taxes. So that's where we're going to come in and to help you out and keep that IRS agent out of your house, out of your business, out of your life. But, Steve, the biggest thing, and I know we forget this all the time as we're going through this, especially on somebody's playing this on radio or something, contact us at 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. Or look us up on the internet. It's taxationsolutions.net. Again, that's .net, taxationsolutions.net. So, hey, find us out. It's a free call, free consultation. We want to talk to you. We want to help you. We want to get that IRS out of your life.
Barry, any hints you can give to business owners how they can keep those taxes from snowballing on them, those payroll taxes?
Well, the easiest thing to do, whether you're required to do it or not by the IRS, is pay the payroll taxes each time you do payroll. That way you're not mounting a huge amount of money for each quarter. You may only have to file the tax returns quarterly, and maybe you only have to pay the taxes quarterly, but it still helps you to file it each time you do pay the payroll taxes each time you do payroll. Even if you are, a semi-monthly or once a month, payroll depositor, do the same thing. Do it as you are doing your payroll, so that doesn't amount to a lot. Some people have a hard time saving that money. They see it in that account and they find it other uses for it. Then you're going to end up in trouble.
What are some of the civil penalties?
Well,
you might as well, if they're not going to call you right now, might as well scare them into calling you.
Well, those are the worst. We were talking about the trust fund side of the taxes, the payroll taxes. Well, if you don't pay the trust fund side of the taxes, the IRS levies a civil penalty, which means now you personally owe it. But hey, this is worse. Okay, maybe I'm smiling while I'm doing this, but I kind of laugh about it because we've had to represent some managers in some businesses. We've had some people that managed a business years ago and came to us and they got assessed the trust fund penalty. So that trust fund penalty will go against every business owner. If you have partners and you're the one that's been screwing it up, they're going to know. If you have managers or anybody else that signs on that checking account. So if you're running a business and you've got a manager or two that signs on a checking account, even if it's the petty cash checking account, they can be held responsible for those payroll taxes. The IRS will come in and do a trust fund penalty, which is a civil penalty assessed against every person possible that is responsible. So if you're an employee, don't sign checks, have no responsibility for payroll, you're fine for these. But if you're a manager or somebody else that's doing payroll and signs the payroll checks, you could be held responsible for those payroll taxes through a civil penalty as well. Now, that means whether your wife and you're the business owner could be held responsible for that as well. It's coming out of the family money, especially if the money goes into any account that you have your Social Security number on. So how does this get worse for your family? You got kids accounts, maybe 529 accounts, and your Social Security number's on it. You've got kids accounts that you are also a signer on, and they've put your Social Security number attached to it as well. IRS comes out and levies for these payroll taxes. As a matter of fact, for almost any taxes. And your Social Security number is attached, so they could pull all that money, even if it isn't yours. Hey, here's a good example, Steve-O. And this is a good friend of mine who didn't come to me right away, but with his payroll tax problem and his other tax problem he had. He came to me pretty much after the fact, calling and basically crying. Man, I've known you for years. Why didn't I come to you and get this help? Well, you never really even talked to me about it. So, we know how family is. We know how sometimes friends are. They don't like to talk about this. They're embarrassed.
You're embarrassed, right? I
know you've done this, but I just got levied on my bank account. I said, Jim, I don't understand. How long have you known me and you know what I do and you know how much I save people? Because I talk about it all the time. You just got levied. He goes, yeah, let's make it worse. I have kids' accounts that have my Social Security number on it. Their accounts got levied. And their grandmother just gave each one of the kids a gift for college of $15,000. IRS just took every dollar from every account. They cleaned out 4 kids' accounts. They cleaned out his personal account, his business account. They levied his joint account with his wife's money in it that she had set aside. It was close to $250,000.
Wow.
He still owes more, like another $500,000, so I don't feel too bad for him. Good news is we got every bit of the kids' money back, so they could continue to go to college and pay for their college. We got most of the wife's money back because she was not a responsible party, and we were able to get majority of that back. We couldn't do anything about the business money or his personal money. We got enough money back in the business account to make the next payroll and pay a few of the bills that he had for cost of goods sold. So we were able to do a little bit for him. But that's what happens when you don't pick up that phone ahead of time and give us a call and let us get in front of this to solve this problem or put some kind of solution in place. It may not be exactly what you like, but you need to have a solution. But it does start with calling us at the 877-996-6477 number and getting that free consultation. We dealt with a child care business. They are $1.2 million in debt and payroll taxes. We managed to stave off all the trust fund penalties on them. While we were dealing with the revenue officer, we actually got it past the statute of limitations to assess the trust fund penalties and the civil penalties, and our client was extremely happy. We actually then convinced the revenue officer to reduce about $250,000 worth of penalties on them. Didn't get it down to something reasonable, but it got it closer to what they should have only paid in the payroll taxes to begin with, plus the interest the IRS is charging. So we are able to accomplish some things, and everybody's situation is different. And we just got to get in front of it and start helping it. That's the only solution that we can offer people is let us get in front of it and keep the IRS away and figure out the best route for you in your situation and make sure the IRS is going to take everything else you have.
Barry, I know I've mentioned this on several of our shows where I have another business we have, and it's a gentleman who owns a restaurant, and he got behind on his taxes. So first thing I told him was about taxation solutions and how you're helping all these other businesses out there, and how you can actually take a lot of the burden off his shoulders just by calling him. And this has been going on for 2 months now. And I just talked to him the other day. I said, "Did you call Barry yet?" "No, I haven't had a chance." Well, I don't understand. I mean, when they start coming taking money out of your account, you've waited longer than a couple days to get back with them. And I just don't understand why people don't address that problem when it happens, Barry.
Well, the IRS kind of makes it sometimes simple to put your head in the sand and ignore things because they send out letters and you don't open them and don't read them until they do some kind of major enforcement action. People sometimes don't feel the pain. When you do feel the pain of it, that's when you're going to pick up that phone and make that phone call and do something about it. But, instead of feeling the pain, make the phone call or reach out to us at taxationsolutions.net. And that way, even if you've got your head in the sand and want to ignore it and you think it works, it doesn't, you have somebody that's ready to go, that's on your side. And, maybe you say, "Hey, I just can't afford the services. Maybe I just can't do this." Well, you can't afford not to. When you're dealing with payroll taxes or you're dealing with civil penalties or future trust fund penalties, you can't afford to do it. It's going to cost you your wife or your husband, depending on who has the business. It's going to cost you possibly your business. If you own assets, you can go on the IRS website and see how many business assets the IRS sells every single year. You think that isn't true. They have a website at U.S. Department of Revenue, and they sell things they've confiscated from people and businesses, including people's houses. And that's how drastic enforcement can get against you for payroll taxes and business taxes and other taxes if you don't have somebody standing before you and helping you with this situation. You make simple statements, and I know you said this before, you make a simple statement to the IRS about maybe how much money you have in your account today. Well, you may have $20,000 in your account today, but tomorrow you have $2,000 because you just made $18,000 in payroll. Well, that gives the IRS some indication when I'm going to levy against your account. You just now said you can afford to pay them $20,000. Whether you could or not, it doesn't really matter to the IRS. That's what the agent heard. When they ask you simple questions, hey, they start talking about values on the house and equity in the house. They think it's easy for you and I and everybody else to go access the equity in our house. Well, a lot of situations you can't afford to go get a loan on that house, but the IRS thinks you can. You've set yourself up for this by answering those simple, innocent questions that the IRS has that you think, hey, the IRS is my friend. They're going to be very friendly to me. The guy's being really, really nice. They just want info. Let's be honest. They work for the largest collection agency in the whole wide world. There isn't one of them that's out there that's just your friend. Even if it's your neighbor and works for the IRS, they're not truly your friend. Because if you told them you cheated on your taxes, they're turning you in tomorrow. If you owe them money and they know it, they're calling their friend and saying, hey, look, this guy's got this, and he just put a pool in. He just did this. These guys are not your friends. They're not the ones that you want helping you or on your side. They work for who? U.S. Department of Revenue, the United States government, and we're trillions of dollars in debt, and they want every dollar from you. They haven't met anybody they haven't thought that everything that you have is theirs. That's why it's called the IRS, theirs. Everything is theirs. They're going to get it one way or the other from you.
Yeah. Barry, give everybody your phone number and your website address.
It is the phone number, toll-free, free consultation, 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. And it's taxationsolutions.net. Hey, if you're driving and listening to this, you didn't have to stop and write it down. You can catch this on the podcast on iHeart. Correct me where I'm wrong, Steve-O, because I'm doing this from memory.
Just go to Ask the Experts, Houston Taxation Solutions. You can go to YouTube. You can go to Spotify. iHeart's the best because they, if you go there, they'll send you every show that Barry's done. But please, if you've got a friend or a relative that is having problems with the IRS, I don't care what part of the country they live in, you give them Barry's phone number, 877-996-6477. Barry's with us every month. So he'll be back again next month. And it's Taxation Solutions. Remember, it's .net. Taxation Solutions, plural, .net. Barry, our shows always go by so fast.
Yeah, they do.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you next month.
All right, appreciate it, Steve-O. Thank you very much. And hey, listen to all the Ask the Expert shows; they're great. So
thank you, buddy.
Glad to be here with you. Thank you.
That's Barry Fowler. I think he's the president of Taxation Solutions. That's it for us today. Tune in with us next week. We'll have some more of the best experts in the city of Houston. Again, see you next week. God bless.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.